What's up guys, Gene here. Have you ever wondered why even guys like Will Smith, Johnny Depp, Logan Paul, despite all their money, their looks, their status, get disrespected publicly by their wives? Or is it because women are impossible to please, or is there actually more to it? I've spent over a decade researching relationship dynamics, and I've also coached over 200 men in the last 3 years, and I found that the number one reason why women disrespect men is because these men have become too soft and they act like Kevin's. So obviously I'm not saying you should become an ice cold robot, right? Instead, in this video, I want to offer you a unique method that has worked for my clients and for me. And I've been with a lot of women that were considered masculine and bossy, but they were soft, feminine, and loving around me because of this unique method that I'm about to teach you. So the first thing that you need to understand about women is that women are wired to respect men they can look up to. So when you're too soft and you're only soft, that conveys to her that when shit hits the fan, she won't be able to lean onto you because she needs a rock that she can lean onto, but you feel like a soft pillow. And when she feels she can't lean onto you, I mean, she senses weakness, man. And like when a woman senses weakness, they turn into a fucking FBI agent and sniff out literally anything they can about that weakness that you have. And then they will push that button until you either collapse or you push back successfully. So it's sort of like a built-in safety mechanism in women that gets triggered when a woman senses weakness. Now the question obviously is like, why is prolonged softness viewed as weak by women? So the thing is, it's not the softness itself, but how that softness shows up in your behavior. And the way that softness shows up in men is basically through Kevin behavior. Basically sort of like a customer service representative of the relationship. Carry that mindset of like the customer, aka the woman, is always right, treat every woman with like utmost respect, like a princess, never upset them, always put them first, and women are always queens. But I myself had installed this fucking conditioning in my head because I was raised by my grandma, and since I lacked this kind of strong masculine role model in my life, I lacked another perspective on how to treat women properly. And obviously I became the guy who tolerated everything because that's what a good man does. A fucking doormat, fundamentally. And the thing for most guys, and for me included back in the days, was that I thought I was this loving, kind guy, but in reality, I was a people-pleasing Kevin. And pleasing is interpreted as needy behavior. And needy behavior is to a woman what water is to fire. It kills attraction and respect immediately, man. So it's not becoming like this ice-cold robot, right? The solution is to become Hercules, the leader, the CEO of the fucking relationship, man. Now, what's so special about a Herculean CEO? Like, Hercules isn't respected because he's dominant or loud or lacks empathy. It's quite the opposite, man. He's respected because he's a balanced leader. Yes, he can be soft, but softness is not his only modus operandi. He's adaptable. He knows when to be gentle, when to be assertive, when to be playful, and when to feel. And this is where most men get masculinity completely wrong. They think masculinity is like this one specific flavor, right? Like either this nice guy Kevin's softness or this macho alpha bravado on the other extreme. But real masculinity, modern masculinity that actually earns a woman's respect and attraction long term, is an entire spectrum. And the only way to become the CEO, aka the Hercules in your relationship, the only way to be respected without becoming boring, dull, robotic, is to integrate the entire spectrum of your masculinity. And to make that super simple for you, I've developed my unique Hercules color frame, which contains the 4 main colors of masculinity. So what are these 4 colors? Purple, blue, orange, and red. Now here's the thing, man. 9% of you watching are already too much in your purple and blue masculine energy. Yes, you're gentle, you're understanding, emotionally available, respectful. And that is completely fine. But because purple and blue have become your default behavior instead of a behavior, that's why women lose respect over it. And to be honest with you, I believe that even when you're in your purple or blue energy, you're doing it in a way that makes a woman lose respect for you. And that's why I want to give you one practical tool today to make sure that even when you're in purple or blue, you don't come across as a Kevin. So let's take a real life example, and let's say your girlfriend is upset about the situation at work, for example. Now, the best thing that you can do in that moment is not to fix her, but to mirror her emotion. Obviously, without becoming her emotion. And a lot of guys that I coach, they treat a woman like this, like fragile human being. Like when she's upset, they say, "Oh my God, are you okay? Is there anything I can do for you?" And then they put Bob the fucking builder hat on and want to fix her mood instantly. But the thing about women is that most women often share to vent, and then they bond through venting. So you trying to fix her makes her feel you don't get her. And if she feels you don't get her, She feels you're incompetent, which makes her lose respect for you. Because women are wired to only respect masculine men of competence. So instead of looking incompetent in front of her, here's how you look competent. So like, for example, when my girl Sandra is upset, I simply mirror back her emotions by saying things like, "This sounds really frustrating. How do you feel about that?" Now, why does this specific statement and question convey competence? First, the phrase, "this sounds extremely frustrating," acknowledges her, which makes her feel safe. And when she feels safe, man, her nervous system relaxes, and subconsciously, she's going to view you as this competent guy who always knows how to make her feel safe, which builds trust and respect. Now, the second way to display competence in this situation is when I say, "How do you feel?" I am giving Sandra a doorway, an opportunity into the thing that makes her feel most connected to a man, and especially in this situation to me, right? Being able to express her emotions fully and deeply. When she expresses what's going on inside of her, and I convey that I can hold the space, she feels emotionally safe. And when a woman feels emotionally safe, man, she becomes softer, more feminine, more affectionate, and more attractive. But as I said, you should only be soft like, let's say, 20% of the time in your relationship. Because if you're more than that, your relationship turns into this heavy therapy-like state, which is dull, boring, and I mean, who fucking enjoys sitting in a perpetual fucking therapy session, man? Of course, emotional safety matters, but when a woman only feels understood and acknowledged, she eventually feels like bored, trapped. It's like when you talk to like someone who constantly says, "Oh, I get that. That must be frustrating. How do you feel?" I mean, at first, yes, it feels nice to be acknowledged, but then over time, it starts feeling like you're fucking talking to a chatbot therapist. It's like basically like talking to ChatGPT. When she feels trapped in this like lovey-dovey kind of chatbot relationship, that's exactly when the disrespect starts creeping in. And disrespect doesn't necessarily mean she's going to be yelling at you, but like she's going to be like very likely pull back. She's going to be less affectionate. She's going to roll her eyes and definitely will stop sleeping. Now, how do you actually solve this? By integrating your orange masculine energy, which most men completely neglect in long-term relationships. And I'm actually going as far as saying they never truly learned and acquired this skill. Orange masculine energy is best conveyed by what I call playful cockiness, and is honestly my favorite way of being and behaving in a relationship. Like, honestly, I'm driving Sandra nuts in a good way with my playful cockiness. I'll give you a couple of examples of this in just a second, but I explain first why it works. And especially for high-achieving guys like entrepreneurs, software developer guys, highly analytical like guys in jobs like finance, for example, this is going to be very powerful masculine color to integrate. Like when you're just a bit cocky, that shows that you aren't operating from her approval. You're operating from a secure, centered masculine place. Like women don't consciously analyze that orange energy, but the nervous system reacts to it immediately, man. And honestly, as fucking cheat code. Like cockiness signals that you're used to being someone people respond to, not someone who waits for permission. Now, for a lot of guys that I coach who are like perpetual people pleaser, aka Kevins around women, and I've used to be one of them myself, and these guys who never learned the basics of flirting, this is a bottleneck. And I'm going to explain why that is. Because you're entirely relying on love, but love isn't enough to create respect. However, when you integrate this like playful, cocky, orange energy, and that kind of vibe into your skill set, it places you in a completely different category of men and masculine leadership and kind of CEO leader. Because you stop being Kevin orbiting around her, but you actually become the man she orbits around. Like you suddenly become like the sun and she's planet Earth, right? Rather than the other way around. Again, remember, women only respect men they can look up to. So this is not about like playing games or putting her down. This is literally just high status behavior that women are so drawn to, and most men like neglect in long-term relationships. And this is not about money, this is not about status or fame, this is literally about masculine habits and behavior. Now, how do you display that cockiness? By teasing her, and by teasing, I mean you challenge her, you crack a joke, you're self-amused, you're just having a good time in life. I mean, think about this. Like, I'm sure you've sat in like at least one boring ass Zoom meeting on a Monday morning with, I don't know, fucking HR or whatever team. And everything was by the book, structured, rigid, no jokes allowed. I mean, how often did you ask yourself like, bro, like, where's the rope, Like, the same concept applies to your relationship, man. So how do you make sure like your relationship does not carry the same vibe as a Monday morning Zoom meeting? Well, easy, through that playful orange energy. So let me show you quickly how I use everyday situations like talking about the dishwasher, good morning text or I don't know, whatnot, like to tease Sandra and actually like display extreme social charisma, aka playful cockiness. So I think in this example, Sandra yapped about how expensive flat whites have gotten, and instead of responding logically to that statement, I used this penguin gif, or gif, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, and teased her how she never complains about the prices when she fucking uses my car. And the reason why this works and why this creates like an emotional spike in her, which makes her respect you, is because I am outcome independent in that moment. I say something and I don't really care about her response. I'm just being self-amused and I'm having a good time. And I'm using this situation to convey that. So here we have another example. In this example, I sent a thank you note to Sandra after she called me when I didn't really feel great, right? So I basically responded from blue and purple here, right? Like the compassionate, empathetic kind of grateful nature. But to cushion it, I set the frame that she's only doing it because, yeah, she wants to hear my voice. AKA, I'm so fucking attractive, she cannot get enough of me. Do you see how this is so much more attractive for a woman? Because I position myself as the guy that she can look up to. So these kind of things like the messages and learning how to be playful in your relationship are things that we practice in my program, where we have dedicated text support as well as group calls where we practice these responses together. For example, let's just use this text that I'm going to put somewhere on the screen that we use for role play in the coaching calls. So Sandra sent me this message when I was in Dubai and she was at home in Marbella. Yeah. So she messaged like, oh, we have 3 flies and 1 mosquito at home. Hercules needs to be back. Hercules in this case obviously me, because I kill these things, right? Now ask yourself, how would you actually respond in a playful way to this kind of message? Now I actually responded like, oh, cute way of saying you miss me, right? Again, I imply that she cannot stop thinking of me. Maybe it annoys her, maybe she finds it cringe, but apparently Sandra is all over. And my previous girlfriends were all over me too. Same for my clients, so I guess I'm doing something right here, right? So anyways, we use this text, as I said earlier, like in one of our interactive role play calls. And actually one of my clients won the award for best response. Like, honestly, I fucking loved it. He responded to the text, we have 3 flies on mosquito, Hercules needs to be back with, bro, it was so fucking epic. Seems like there's more than one thing that needs to get slapped tonight. I mean, I was genuinely proud of it. Now, I wasn't always playful like that, but I trained myself to get to this point because I knew that every single fucking woman, unless she has a fucking stick up her arse, will respond well to playfulness. And if she's got a stick up her arse, I wouldn't want to be with her because I'm not dating a nun. I don't want a boring woman in my life. The one thing about cockiness and teasing is that it only works when the man feels like solid internally, like he has to feel secure about himself. So if it comes from insecurity, like from a Kevin, it is going to feel incongruent. So how do you actually stop being insecure, and how do you stop being anxious around women you actually love? Because a lot of guys, 90% of guys that I coach, they completely collapse emotionally when they fall in love with a woman. And you solve that by integrating the most important color, which is red, aka assertive masculine energy. So red is the part of your masculinity that women are biologically wired to respond to on a deep, let's say, primal level. So every woman, even the most independent boss babe, Jessica, wants to feel led by a masculine, assertive man in his red energy. And this is exactly where most modern masculine advice collapses, because it confuses leadership with aggression. So you've got these chest-beating alpha male bros, like, I think it basically are satire. Like, true red masculine energy has nothing, really nothing to do with like controlling, intimidating, or being obnoxiously loud. So real red energy, like real masculinity, is unashamed of being masculine. Yeah? So unfortunately, most men have been completely castrated and taught to be only agreeable and only pleasing, like a true fucking Kevin. So I think I've said it, but I've been with several hundreds of women, yeah? I've been in 4 long-term relationships. And the only 3 women that ever disrespected me or broke up with me were Julia, Marie, and Celine. And they disrespected me because I was a shadow of a man. Like, I was literally a Kevin. Like, to give you an example, like Julia yelled at me for not putting the toilet seat down. And guess what? I apologized. Then she asked me even to do her nails and paint her nails. Like, bro, what the fuck, man? Like, I always apologized for like purely existing, for purely breathing. But I only did that with Julia, Marie, and Cecile. So there's a pattern here, man. And like, my biggest limiting belief around them was that if I disagree with the woman, you know, like, I'm a bad man. I'm doing something wrong. Or if I upset her, I've failed as a partner. So how did I integrate my red energy? First, I stopped thinking that because my girlfriend complains about something means I've done something wrong. Like, her emotional state or her mood does not determine my value or if something is right or wrong. Yes, her feelings are real and yes, they are valid, but they aren't always right. They aren't always facts. And as a leader of the relationship, as the fucking CEO, she needs to feel that there's resistance sometimes. She needs to feel that you can stand up to her so that she feels confident in your ability to stand up for her in the long term and like when shit hits the fan. Now, on top of that, obviously you're gonna ask yourself, how do I display this kind of red energy on a day-to-day basis? You provide leadership and a vision. Now, obviously there's a difference between being a good leader with a good heart or a fucking dictator. Think of a good leader like David Beckham, Aragorn from Lord of the Rings, or King Leonidas from 300. A dictator on the other side is like in the context of a relationship. Think of guys like Joffrey Baratheon, I think from Game of Thrones, Chris Brown, or Mr. Baby Oil P. Diddy himself. Those are examples of good and bad leaders. And how do you provide daily leadership like in a relationship? Yeah, by organizing things, by setting boundaries, by carrying heavy things, for example. Like when Sandra and I travel, there's no fucking way that Sandra carries any heavy stuff. Then during arguments, this is super, super important, you stay emotionally regulated. No yelling, no name calling. If you need time to collect your thoughts and emotions, you communicate that respectfully. You can say like, hey babe, I need some time to process all this. I understand that you might be upset right now. Just give me 5, 10, 15 minutes that we can that I can cool down and then we can have a chat. So by acknowledging her as well as reassuring her that you will be back, you make her feel safe. So especially this reassurance works especially well with women who are like anxiously attached. So then when it comes to, let's say, providing or building the vision, what I'd say is like on a monthly basis or so, have a date night where you reflect back on the relationship, like what you two can improve. Very important. Both of you can improve here. Not only you, not only her. So it's almost like a 360 review, right? Like you usually get at your job. So again, don't turn this into fucking heavy therapy session. Right? You can use your orange energy to guide this kind of date night. So here's how I like opened the last monthly review with Sandra. I literally said like, hey Sandra, I gotta admit, like this month's performance, I'm not sure you're gonna get like the promotion to like, I don't know, what did I say, chief mistress, you know? Obviously this is so much more fun than just coming up with like a fucking list of things and say, yo, well, I didn't like that you did this and it hurt me and I didn't like that you did X, Y, Z. I mean, obviously be vulnerable, but I mean like don't lose your balls, right? Like gamify it. Now, and if you've done an amazing job here, she'll be all over you. But by now, obviously, you better know what turns her on in bed. And that's why I've put together the list of the wildest fantasies women have, which you can watch in this next video.